Golfers, welcome. Uh, you may need to unmute yourself down the bottom. I'm not sure how that works. And I'm gonna make sure Ken can unmute himself here. Maybe I have to go, do I have to go through and ask people to unmute, Ken? I might. So I'll do that, and I think you may need to unmute yourselves.
Now you can.
Hello.
Hi, there we go.
I've done it. Just turn the light on.
It worked.
Oh, there we go. One worked there.
Jenny worked.
Any comments or questions? And if you're having trouble unmuting, just say something in the chat and we'll unmute you.
Yeah, it's actually better for people to remain muted if they're not talking, because then the screen switches back and forth between people who are talking.
I see. Okay, that's good. Okay, so if you can remain muted unless you have something, unless you have something to say. Isn't there a story about that?
Yep.
Okay.
Have you?
Let's make this moment the official beginning of our Zen Golf question and answer session.
Have you been watching the Open?
Welcome to the Zen Golf question and answer session. John's asking a question.
Have you started watching the US Open? There's a lot of frustration going on by the players. They're being tested, as you can tell by their body language and posture.
Yes, I have been watching and did a little bit of recording. I like to record a couple of clips as demonstrations. I have a couple of interesting comments about that. One of my favorite things is recording Tiger Woods putting, because he does two things that I regard as universal positive qualities for putting. And that is, he holds the finish of his stroke at the end of the stroke. The putter, I'll see if I can move it. Putter going back and forth, wherever it stops, that's where he holds it. Goes back, through, stops. No, you'll see some players, when they do that, they go back, through, and recoil or drop the putter down. But he holds it right where the stroke, the end of the stroke. And he also holds his posture. He doesn't stand up until the ball stops. So, or goes in or past the hole. But he'll make the stroke, hold his posture, and the way he looks to follow it is not lifting up to look, but turning underneath so that his posture doesn't change. So I recommend watching that. I also watched Justin Thomas, and I think Nick Faldo commented on him having long, really soft arms. But what he does is he lets his arms extend, and he rocks his shoulders so that, and if you notice, his shoulders are very, very much parallel to his line. They're really on his line. And his left shoulder goes straight down and straight up. And in the work that was done by the Zen Golf Putter Company, it's a separate company, but we're very closely, our hearts match together, and we've worked together a lot. It's a different company that makes Zen putters. They did some work on the motion sensor And they found that when your left shoulder goes straight down and straight up, the arc of your putter is pretty much perfect and comes back to square. Goes slightly inside and slightly open to the line, back to square to the line, to slightly inside and slightly closed to the line. But you don't want to keep the putter square to the line of your putt, because the line is two-dimensional and we are three-dimensional beings. So as the putter comes up, it needs to come slightly in. It's really a swing plane that you have with the putter. The putter face stays square to the swing plane, not to the line on the ground. That's very important to understand. Now, Rocco asked a question about putting, and that is, do you focus on the hole or an intermediate spot? That's a really good question. In reading the putt and setting up, it is often helpful to have an intermediate spot. What you want to do is see the whole path of the putt. And I often read from the hole backwards. You'll see some of the pros go up near the hole and stand about 3 or 4 feet away and say, you know, where do I want this putt coming in from? Then they'll track it further back. Where do I need to start it to get it to that spot 3 or 4 feet away where it'll track into the hole? Now, once you've seen that whole path that you think the putt will take, and you know some of the broadcasts put that up and show that, and what you'll see something interesting about that. When they put it up afterwards, you'll see like if a player makes a long winding putt, they'll replay it and show the path that it's going to take. It's very different than the path they put up as a picture, because the picture is very regular and smooth, and putts don't work that way. So you need to see all the twists and turns that the putt might take. That it goes straight for a while, then starts turning a little, then turns a lot. Whatever you see as that whole path, look a foot or two in front of your ball and find a little spot. It might not be directly on your line, but something you can go to the left or right of. And that's what you set your putter up to aim to. So your intermediate target is for setup, to set the putter so that you know that it is perpendicular to the line you want the putt to start on. And we want to roll every putt as if it is a straight putt, because you start it as a straight putt and it rolls straight off the putter face. You don't want to push or pull. Then you let gravity and grain do whatever it's going to do to move the ball along the picture that you had in mind. Okay? So what do you focus on while you're putting? Well, after you've made your practice stroke, if you make one, and after you've set that putter, you set the putter and set your stance, and you make a commitment. And I've actually told pros this, and they laughed because I said, now I got a very profound instruction for you. Hit it where the putter is pointing. In other words, there's a line on the putter that's perpendicular to the face. Hit it on that line. Hit it on the line you set the putter perpendicular to. Okay, so once you've set the putter, you know what your stroke is going to be, and you know the direction you're going to move the putter. The last thing you look for is speed, is pace. Uphill, downhill, slow or fast, whatever your feel is, get that feel in your mind. And when you look back down toward the ball, bring the image, the whole picture to mind. It can be a snapshot, it can be a movie, whatever your mind's eye, however your mind's eye sees it, bring the picture of the whole thing to mind. And if you have that picture of the whole thing, the whole path that the ball is going to roll, it helps you with your pace, because you're sending it into that picture. And your intuition will produce the pace that will fulfill that whole picture. They were interviewing Tiger who putted great yesterday and has struggled of late, but they said, you know, what are you doing? He said, well, whatever I'm working on off the course. But when I get to actually executing the putt, I go back to the way my dad taught me. And after I've set up, roll it into the picture. And Ken and I have talked about this quote a lot, that when he was asked, how do you make these incredible clutch putts that go in? He said, I read it the best I can. I get a feel for the pace the best I can. I put the best roll on it that I can. And then I see what happens. So it's very important to understand that your job is getting it started. It's the ball's job to find the hole. Okay, we have another question.
Thank you.
From Joseph. Can you talk about the subconscious mind during a round of golf? Well, I think you probably don't mean you should talk about your subconscious mind while you're playing golf. But what is the subconscious mind? Subconscious is a psychological term, I think going back to Freud. And so let's use language that has more of something that we can actually feel. Subconscious is a concept. But we have intuitive or instinctive mind. In other words, we know when we're acting in an intuitive or instinctive way that isn't run by conceptual thought. You can't think a golf swing. If you start thinking while you're swinging, it actually interferes with it. So while you're swinging the club, what's running your body? It's that instinctive mind, what you refer to as subconscious mind. Let's call it non-conceptual mind. So there isn't a thought about how you're doing it. It's a response to more of a what image, W-H-A-T, a what image that you're giving. That's why I said, if you have the whole picture of your putt, it's what you want to happen, and you're not thinking about technique of how you're going to swing the putter. So the ideal is, as far as how that subconscious or instinctive mind works, is the ideal way to play golf is to plan with your head, but play from your heart. In other words, you use your conceptual mind to do your mathematical calculations. It is 150 yards. That's my 7-iron, usually. But it's uphill, so it's going to be more like 155 yards. And it's a little bit into the wind, so it's more like 160 yards. Oh, now that has become my 6-iron. You see, that's all your thinking mind. That's all conceptual, that you do those calculations. You then say, well, you know, the shot I want to play is a little bit of a draw, so I should aim so much to the right of the hole. Now you're using your conceptual mind to do your targeting. Well, there's more trouble on the left, so I'm going to aim a little further right. You do all those things conceptually. A little bit of your instinctive mind can come in there by moving your eyes across the green when you're picking a target. And if it's too close to the hole when the hole's near trouble, it's not going to feel so good. That's where your subconscious or your feel comes in. When it's too far away, you think, oh, I might 3-putt. So that's a combination of you going back and forth between your conceptual mind and your instinctive or feeling mind. And then you balance those out and pick that spot that it's what I call the Goldilocks spot. It's not too far from the target, but it's not too close to trouble. It's just right. That becomes your target. So you can use your instincts along with your conceptual mind for planning. But once you've made your plan, you want to use your breathing to get out of your head, into your body, and produce an image in your mind, either an image of the shot or a feel image that is a what kind of instruction that you're giving your body. This is what I want it to feel like. This is what I want it to produce, not how. The how is always conceptual, conscious. The what is that subconscious instinctive mind. And that's going to give you the best opportunity to produce what you have in mind. I hope that's helpful. Any further question on that from Joseph? Are you there? Do you want to unmute, Joseph? Let's see if I can find him.
That was great.
All good?
All good. Thank you.
Great. Okay. Rocco, recommended pre-shot routine. That's a good question. It's unique and individual to everyone, but I will talk about elements that I like. Okay. If you're going to take, let's start with the practice swing. Well, first of all, you have to have your plan that I talked about. Before you even start your pre-shot, what we call a pre-shot routine, you have to go through your planning so that you've made a plan that you feel in your gut that you can commit to. Well, that involves pre-acceptance. You have to say, well, you know, with this club, I can accept pretty much the full range of results of where it's going to end up. Yep, okay, I can handle it, then I go. Once you've made your plan with full pre-acceptance, one that you believe you can commit to, now make a practice swing, a feel swing, that you think will produce the shot you have in mind. And I call it a programming swing. You want to program that feel in so you don't have to think about it. You don't have to give yourself a lesson while you're swinging. That's a chapter in Zen Golf. During your swing is not a good time to give yourself a lesson. So you want to program in a feel, program in an image. You say, that's what I want to produce. Then, again, standing behind the ball. And the distance I like actually has to do with the rules of golf. The teeing ground, the area in which you're allowed to tee a ball is a rectangle. And that rectangle is the line across between the tee markers, and then back behind them, 2 club lengths, and then a line across again. So that rectangle is the only area in which you're allowed to tee the ball to start play. Well, if you're standing behind that, then you're outside the play area. But you can do the same thing on shots from the fairway. You stand at least 2 club lengths back. You give yourself a good view that way. It's like, you know, if you want to see a painting and take the whole thing in, stand back. Get that perspective. So you're at least 2 club lengths behind. Get the picture of the shot you want to hit. And now take a full breath and breathe it down into the ground. Get out of your head, fully into your body. Really feel the ground under your feet. Feeling the ground under your feet is putting your awareness pretty much as far from your head as you can get it. Then when the breath is all the way out, you slowly walk forward. No rush, just walk forward, feeling the ground under your feet as you walk, but having your eyes connecting out to the target. Because your objective is not to hit at the ball, but to send the ball out into your picture. Then looking back and forth between the ball and your target, and possibly in your intermediate target, that's fine. Ball, intermediate target a few feet in front of you, out to the ultimate target. Ball, intermediate target. Connecting, keeping them connected as you take your stance, and align yourself to the path of the shot you want to hit. After you've taken your last look out there, you look back down to the ball, bring that image to mind, and then start your swing into that picture. Now, one thing that I do, I don't recommend it to everybody, but if it works for you, the way I start my swing is that after I've looked out and gotten that picture and hold it in my mind, I look back toward the ball, but I want to have that picture in my mind out there, not down here. Picture out there. But when I look down to the ball, I take a breath in and let it slowly out. And as it's going out, halfway or more, then I use, it's almost like the breath pushes the club back. And I take it back and swing. It's not so much a pushing as the breath releases the club to go back. Breathing out, take the club back slowly. And that, for me, produces the best shots. Was that clear? Do you want any further clarification on that? Well, I want to add in the post-shot routine. There are three general categories. Ones you really like, ones that are okay, you can live with them, and ones that are real stinkers. So the really good ones, the ones you really like, you want to reinforce that. You want to reinforce that. So what you do, and here's where the subconscious comes in. You reinforce it by saying to yourself, and start by doing it out loud. Say, that's how I always hit it, when, and what you add in is part of your preparation. So for example, that's how I always hit it when I commit and breathe. Now what that tells your subconscious mind is, hey, all I have to do is commit and breathe and I'm going to hit a good shot. And that builds your confidence tremendously. Maybe it's, that's how I always hit it when I have a good picture of the target and trust my swing. Fine. Anything in your preparation that is not technical, add in as the second part of that sentence. First part is always, that's how I always hit it. Oh, if that's how I always hit it, when I simply do those things, then that's how I'm going to hit it next time. And that continually builds your confidence. Second category, ones that are okay, but not great. Always say, that was close. See, as golfers, we tend to go, oh, and pick out what went wrong with it. Usually a long list. Now what that does, the problem with that is, it triggers our subconscious mind to worry about it going wrong next time. Oh, okay. So instead, pick out what went right with it. Say, well, that was close. I hit it really solidly. It was a little off line. Maybe it was my alignment. And check out your static fundamentals. But most important, make an erase and replace swing. In other words, make the swing you wished you'd made and see if you can feel the difference. Because maybe you blocked it a little bit, but maybe you make that swing you wish you'd made and you go, oh, you know what? I was holding on. I was kind of guiding it. If I really had committed, that would have been a great shot. So you make that replacement swing and say, next time I'm going to focus more on commitment. And you're done. You never leave a spot with a swing you didn't like. Now, the stinkers, oh my gosh. The stinkers are so, then it's nothing that you did as a physical cause, it's always mental. And so you ask, what got in the way? And you literally can ask, what the heck was I thinking? Because you were thinking something that was not helpful. Either you need to help the shot do what you wanted to do, or you prevent it from going where you don't want, or you're afraid of something and you hold back, but somehow you're going to distort your swing and have it go way out of your dispersion pattern. So don't beat yourself up, just go, oh, wow, I really wasn't ready to hit that shot. I got to do my preparation better next time. Erase and replace and say, yeah, I can commit to that swing. And then let it go. Okay, last question. What is the first principle of Zen Golf? The big idea that will help one's game. The first principle is the basic goodness chapter, in which the young person has a statue that he or she thinks is clay, but it turns out underneath it was gold all along. So it is the richness perspective that I have capabilities, and the only reason they're not produced is that I get in my own way. So the guiding principle is you don't need to add more on. I call that moron golf. You don't need to add more on. You need to remove the clay. Find the ways that you are in your own way. Recognize what's in the way and clear the interference. Get out of your own way and let your talent shine through. That's the ultimate principle, the first principle. If you have that perspective, everything else, all the dominoes, fall right into place. Well, everyone, thank you so much. It's great to be on these calls with all of you. Thank you for taking the time and giving me the opportunity to express what I care so much about. And again, as I did for the mindfulness section, please generate the attitude that whatever we're doing here, we're not doing just for ourselves, but we're doing so that we can be better friends to others. So thank you so much. And see you next week. We're on again next week. How is it? Same bat time, same bat channel. And same Zoom link.